Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm your host, Julie Fairhurst. And today I have an amazing guest, and I can't wait to get into some really deep conversations with her. So today I have the honor of speaking with a woman whose story is woven with courage, compassion, and fierce commitment to change. Brenda Lee Hunter is the founder of the Legacy Mission, an initiative born from deep personal loss, profound love, and the determination to turn grief into purpose. She's been a foster parent, a mother walking beside addiction, recovery, and heartbreak, and now a voice for families impacted by the drug crisis. Brenda Lee, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it greatly.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm blushing after all that.
Well, it's the truth, my dear. It's the truth.
Thank
So
you.
let's start at the beginning. Can you tell me, you've, I gave you that brief introduction, but you've done so much more than that little bit that I told our audience. So I'm wondering, is there a moment that you now realize was pointing you towards the work that you're doing today?
Um, I did sort of practice a response to that question. And then this morning I was on Facebook and I came across a post, a memory that I'd shared 6 years ago. And I want to share this with you because, well, it says it all. Um, the post started, I want to thank everyone who has reached out over the last few days after seeing some posts from my daughter on Friday. She made those posts because she was high on Molly. This was not the first time she'd used it, and now I have to accept that she is on the way to one of every parent's worst nightmares. She's refusing to come home. We've been told to make sure we have Narcan on hand if she does come back. None of this makes any sense. My funny, caring, beautiful daughter is spiraling. My heart is aching every moment of every day. I'm desperate to not become the parent who lost her child to drugs. Please take a moment to wish her home safe. Please share this, as I believe that prayers and positive energy do make a difference. And then I was lucky enough to be able to do an update. And it said, my daughter saw this and called me. Thank all of you, but especially those who reached out to her directly. It really made the difference. She is home, safe, baby steps.
Wow. Thank you for
So,
sharing that. Wow, that is so, you're right. It's every parent's worst nightmare.
yeah. And
Yeah.
um, so that wasn't even the start of it. For me personally, my daughter's adopted. I adopted her at birth, and she had been born prenatally exposed to uh,
Mm.
substances. Um, and I knew that things were going to be um, challenging in certain aspects with that, but I also believe that love would be enough to to get us through. And I was wrong. Love isn't just all it takes. And that's what sort of that was the beginning of my journey.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
Wow. And how is she today?
Well, um, there have been many roller coaster rides, but now I'll tell you where she's at, and I'm not taking all the credit for this because it's been, her hard work. But she is doing extremely well. She has found um, a a career that she is bringing her happiness and focus and all those good things we hope for our children. She's in a very long-term relationship, and her and I, as she would say, have become best friends.
Aw. Well, thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. And positive thoughts,
Yeah.
positive thoughts. But that's wonderful. Wow.
But backing up to that, um, sometimes like I don't even want to think that, there's no more heartache ahead on this journey. But I feel guilty because it's like survivor's guilt when I talk to other parents every day
Mm,
who haven't had the outcomes that I'm I'm seeing right now. And it it's the feeling of that. I knew I had what I needed to help other people through these situations. And so that's what led to the whole legacy mission, which,
yeah. Well, why don't you tell us about the legacy mission? So, what's
well,
that all about?
the legacy mission is a place for people who have been affected by the drug crisis, basically to tell their stories. And by sharing those stories with the rest of society can begin to understand the struggles we have, and help maybe the people who have lost loved ones to the drug crisis. Um, the people who've lost their loved ones, they're often hiding truths behind shame, guilt, and stigmas attached to the crisis. And because of this, it's very difficult to deal with the grief that follows loss. So there is a book coming out in the new year, and what I've done is I've collected stories from people who have walked that journey, and you will find in those stories, like we're fed a whole ton of crap about what this crisis really is. And
Mhm.
for instance, like some of the numbers of the people who are losing their fights with this crisis, one of the numbers is 70% of them have a home, have a job, have families who love them, have friends, but they're still dying to this drug crisis. And we're led to believe that it's more the people who are homeless, who don't have a job, who have supposedly no people that care about them, that are at the top end of this crisis. And
Well, they're
I
the visible. They're the ones we can
exactly
see.
exactly, and that's why I'm doing this, because nobody on this planet has, like, not one single person that cares for them. There's and I found this out over the last few months. Um Actually, it's a year ago that my daughter's birth father was taken by fentanyl, and a lot of people passed him in the streets every day thinking he had no one that cared, but we cared. And it turns out the doctor that treated him for 3 years cared, and a lot of people cared, and he was a remarkable soul. So part of the legacy mission is dedicated to him.
Oh, aw. So you're writing, so people are contacting you then to write their personal stories about their loved ones, or if they themselves were addicted, but maybe they've overcome, or maybe they're still in the throes of it.
Struggling, yep.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so what's the purpose of the stories? Is it to
um well, there's two purposes. One, for the writer, first and foremost, to help them begin to heal.
Mhm.
That that is the main goal, because no matter what the outside world thinks of somebody who has gone through something like this, you have to wake up every morning and just keep on keeping on. And so this is a way for that to help with the process. Secondly, it's to keep the lights alive of our loved ones who have um, fallen victim to this crisis,
Mhm.
and showing they're real people with real life stories, and they're not they're not making a choice like we often hear. They're not making a choice to live this lifestyle. There's reasons,
Mhm.
and they vary from person to person. It's all important. Everybody's stories
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful and I think for um people who have lost their loved ones, they'll be able to read about the experiences of others. I mean, we all want to know that we're not alone. We feel like
Exactly.
we're alone,
Yep.
but we're not.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's beautiful. So what during your darkest moments, what's kept you going?
Oh hell, I don't know. um, I how really this journey started was almost 30 years ago, and I became a foster parent. And it's a calling for me that um I I enjoy helping. I I really get a good feeling knowing I'm helping to lighten someone else's load.
Hmm.
I was born into a family that gave service to the community. I know no other way. This is just what I do. It's not easy, and as it became more and more closer to home, um, it was very difficult. But I I have always found that writing has been such a good release, and I think
Hmm.
for the um, telling the stories part, that's where that came from. You
Yeah.
have to do something. You can't just bottle it all up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, my next question is, how do you protect your heart while doing work that keeps you so close to grief?
Well, I don't I don't really know an answer to that. It's because sometimes it doesn't feel like I protected it very well, and it gets, exhausting dealing with it. I just um if I sat back and used the excuse, and I heard this a lot as a foster parent. Oh, I could never foster because it would be too hard to let them go.
Yes.
And my answer to that was, well, when you're going in, you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it to help other people. And yes, it hurts. But um there's just so much, like all it takes is one positive experience to wipe away all the pain, and you
Mhm.
just keep moving on through them, and it's like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. And with your own, I think, listening to you and with your own journaling, that helps. That would help.
Yes.
I know for me, because I've had many people say, well, oh my goodness, how do you listen to all those sad stories? And I'm like, well, because they're helping people and they're not sad at the end of the stories. They might
Yes.
start out in the beginning sad, but for what I'm up to. So if a mother right now is listening, what would you say to her, woman to woman, mother to mother, if she's dealing with this issue with
Well,
her children?
um that's what I actually do almost every single day. And it's not as much of what I say as I let them be heard.
Mm.
So, I mean, I've had conversations, and this is just such a big issue with everybody's story is so different. And but at the end of the day, um, all a parent wants to do is help their child through, or all
Mhm.
any relative of right, that's all they want to do is help their child through. Mother to mother, I have said we are never going to fix this crisis. That's just a fact of life. We can improve things. I'll get to that later at the end.
Mhm.
But so what we have to do is take care of our own hearts, our own selves,
Mhm.
while we're going through, and seek out other people who've walked the same journey, so that you're not alone. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, what do you hope the legacy mission becomes in the world? Like, where do you see it 5 years down the road?
I see me, okay, I'm going to say this sooner than the end.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we've talked about why I think it's important for people to write, why stories need to be heard, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's time to let our politicians and other supposed change makers who created this crisis,
Hmm.
it's time to let them know that they should be ashamed of their lack of humanity. The way we are dealing with this, and there's all sorts of little bits and pieces that, and people have different opinions um, on how it should be handled. And the only thing that we're going to be able to do to even come close to starting to fix it is using a little bit of everything that has been proven to work. So in 5 years, I hope to have put the upcoming book into the hands of those politicians and those change makers. I will I will be advocating for families um, here in BC, and I just hope that the people I'm trying to get through to will will start to listen, because we just is the families I talk to, they don't feel heard at all, and
Mm.
it has to change so that kids stop dying, so that our 40-year-old children stop dying, so that
Yeah.
there's no reason for it to be happening.
Yeah. What do you think of oh, what's the word? The involuntary.
Yeah,
Yeah, what do you
I
think of that?
I when right before I posted the post I read earlier, I had gone to the hospital because Lucy had been taken there. Oops. And I was not allowed to see my daughter, who was in distress. She was 14 years old, but she told them she didn't want to see me. She was high. She was belligerent. Nope, I don't want to see my mom. And this was not our normal thing, right? If I had had the opportunity to get that type of service for her at 14 years old, you better bet your butt like I would have done anything to try and help her, so that it didn't go on for more years of heartache and of wondering when she was going to die.
Hmm.
So I personally, and not everyone will agree with me, um, if your child is not old enough to vote, you should be able to do something to help them when they get into this um, disastrous, tragic drug crisis that's going on.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that
I
would be,
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, I think that it's in every community, of course. We see it daily, just drive down the street. And so many of them, I don't believe, can make a
Yeah.
conscious decision because they're so far gone.
One.
They're
Yeah.
so drugged out. They don't think properly. I think they need an opportunity to get their whatever I say head
Yeah.
clear, but where they can
And
so that they
heart
can
and
and
yeah.
their heart so they can make that absolute decision as to what to do.
One of the reasons they also, like, people say, oh, they're so affected by the drug, but what the research is showing is they are affected by overdosing and then being brought back however long. So, however long they've gone without oxygen to their brain, that's irreparable damage.
Yes.
And it only takes whatever amount of minutes. And then some of these people, they're getting brought back once, twice a day.
Hmm.
And so they can't make those decisions.
No,
And
no.
they need, if that's why I talk about humanity, if we were a humane society, we
Hmm.
would be giving these people a safe alternative to what they are living.
Yeah. I
And
I have a girlfriend that her sister has been on the streets of Vancouver for it's got to be 20 years now. And so my girlfriend is on the call list if she gets picked up and put into the hospital, which she did a couple of years ago. And so my girlfriend went down to the hospital in downtown Vancouver to see her, and the doctor came in, and she was just gone. The stuff she was saying, that was just craziness coming out of her mouth. And so my girlfriend said to the doctor, like, when does she come down off this? And he said she doesn't.
yeah, yeah,
This is her
so,
brain has a
yeah,
hole in it from
yes,
these drugs, and this is it. This
yeah.
is it. So, what yeah, what do? You just let
Well, and
them.
it's so
Yeah.
crazy because, we're supposed to take care of our own.
Hmm.
That's what families do. That's what friends do. We're supposed to take care of our own. I know a woman whose 40 some odd year old daughter who was very successful, blah, 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 blah. And then she got involved in drugs and refused to allow her mother to see her while she was in the hospital. And her mother wanted, to help. And then what we turn around and do as a society is say, well, you parents aren't doing enough. If
Mm.
if people parented better, this wouldn't
No.
happen.
No.
And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
no,
I mean,
that
definitely there's trauma that people have experienced and
yes,
and that type of thing. But you can't lay it all on the parents.
no,
You've
no,
got kids coming from perfectly wonderful families that
yes,
get caught up in it. And
that's
it's more than just coming from a dysfunctional
yeah,
family. Yeah.
yeah,
There was a where I live in Chilliwack, and my son lived in a condo. He owned a condo. He sold it a few years ago, but right in the heart, actually right next door to the shelter, like
oh yeah,
right next door. And so he had somebody died on his sidewalk. He would get up in the morning and people were plugging things into his patio. He was on the
yeah,
ground floor. So all these things. But what I wanted to tell you is that he actually befriended a younger person on the streets. And after a few conversations with him, he found out that he does have family, but not here in British Columbia. And he
right,
actually got the number, called this young fellow's mother, bought him a bus ticket, and got him on the bus. And I mean, hopefully life has gone better for him
yeah,
since he got back home. But
wow,
we walked past them. I mean, there's some that he was, nervous about that he
yeah,
wouldn't. But this young fellow, it was just this younger kid, and they just started talking. Everybody has a mom and a dad, or
and a
had a
dad
mom and a
or
dad and a family,
someone,
and
yeah,
yeah, there's someone, and And hopefully that little bit is enough that this young fellow is going to be able to change his life.
And I don't know what his background was, but one of the other very, very large issues here is the amount of children being born addicted.
Mm-hmm.
And that has increased just so incredibly much over the last 20 years. So we don't think about how does that affect like the rest of society. Well, first, some of them are born into foster care, and then you have to find trained foster parents who know how to help with the withdrawal and on and on, and that costs a lot of money. And then when they hit school, there's like learning disabilities and whatnot. And that's if they're lucky enough not to have some substantial medical issues because of being born to the drugs or with the drugs in their system. But and unlike children who are born with other like more obvious disabilities or health issues where they can get treatments, we do not acknowledge those educational, emotional, and health needs of children who are born exposed prenatally. We just, if once you get through the withdrawal, you're supposed to, move along and that's it. And unless you have somebody capable of advocating for yourself, you can't. But my point is, if one addicted person can birth numerous children who are also like born addicted, what's the math on that? They're like, it's a
Yeah.
never ending number. And we need to start helping the children who are born right now here today and supporting them, unless like it's almost like we are leaving them with no hope for their futures, and that the cycle of addiction will continue.
Yes. Yeah.
And very little
Yeah.
is done about that.
I never even really thought about that before. So thank you for bringing that up. That's they're not going to have, it'll be very difficult for them.
Yes. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And then here we go. We just keep the cycle going, keep the
Yeah.
cycle going. Well, what do you know, not that, I'm asking what you're going to do to change the world, but what are you going to do to change the world, Brenda Lee? What
This
is like,
time.
what do you think we need to do? Give me the answer. Give us
Well,
maybe some government person is going to hear this and go, "Hey, that's a good idea." What's your thoughts?
you dreaming, baby. So first and foremost, we need to tell these stories. These stories need to be heard. The more people that hear the stories of the lived experiences of this drug crisis, whether it is, as you said earlier, somebody who's lost someone to it, someone who's living with it, somebody who's waiting for their loved one to be taken by it. We need to start talking about it. And I've been in rooms where this has happened, and the energy is incredible, and the energy is healing, because people, when they start hearing your story, they start reacting emotionally. And people have to understand that it could be anyone's child. It's so what, like, there are different, we talked about involuntary care. There is the safe drug injection sites and all these different services. But if they were working, wouldn't our numbers be going down instead of going up?
Absolutely. They're not. I don't believe. I
So,
have brothers who, my niece, as you know, passed
yes.
away from fentanyl at 24 years old in 2019. I have brothers that have been addicted all their life. And I know numerous people. And no, it is not helping. It's
No.
not helping.
So what I see is the biggest
Mm,
roadblock is our politicians will not look at what other countries or even other provinces are doing. For a few years ago, I believe it was Medicine Hat, Alberta, and I'm sorry if I got the city wrong. What matters is what they did. They basically solved homelessness because there's a certain number that's
mhm.
expected, I guess, no matter what you do. But they solved that issue. And the program was for a few years, but what they did was they provided houses, like
Yes.
little, or not the SRO,
Yes.
nice little spaces for people. And then they wrapped services around that. And it was a success until there was another election.
Hmm.
And guess what
Yeah.
happened when they removed those services, right?
Hmm.
So um, things can work, but you have to find people with the guts and courage
To do
to
it.
forget
Yeah.
political parties and forget
Yes.
whatever. Just do it. Like
Yes. Yeah.
there's there's too many good ideas out there
Yeah.
that are working.
Yeah. I think that I find that I used to work for the Ministry of Social Services many, many years ago,
Oh,
and
you lucky duck.
I did. And I was at the single men's unit on Main and Hastings. That's
Yeah.
where I was. So I saw a lot.
Yeah.
And what I find out there is that they don't try to fix the problem, they just throw money at the problem. And then the money is not used properly. And if they would go in more of a prevention method rather than just trying to, poor drug addict
Right.
people, let's make sure they
Right.
get safe drugs. But if they came at it more from prevention, it wouldn't cost as much. They're not in the hospital.
Exactly.
They're not. I saw something on the news. It said a couple weeks ago, 54 people on the downtown east
Yeah.
side
All
overdosed
in
in
one day.
one day. I
So
mean, yeah.
not only, okay, those 54 people, my heart breaks for them and their families, but the people trying to keep them alive,
Yeah.
it's taking a toll. We wonder what's wrong with our medical system. Well, there's
Yes.
a good
Yes.
example of where time and money are being spent.
Yeah.
And when you say preventative, that's what I mean about children who are born into
Hmm.
these situations. My daughter's birth father, before he passed away, told the doctor who had been treating him for 3 years, he told her he knew by the time he was 12 years old that he would die in the streets
Wow.
because, his parents had him selling drugs at 12 years old and he'd already started that. And he knew there was no hope for him. And like, if you look at all the 12-year-olds we have right now
Hmm.
that have been born into this situation, oh my God, like there's thousands upon thousands just in this province.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to um, start looking at things that work rather than trying to figure out how to make things better by
Or
throwing.
just coast. We're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
coasting. We're just coasting.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we've put this much money in. Well, doing what?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Didn't help my niece. Didn't
no,
help your daughter's father.
nope.
Didn't
Or
hasn't helped countless others.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. They need to, yeah, step
Oh,
out of the
and then of
way.
course there's the whole um, legal aspect of this, and with the policing and the
Yeah.
um, so much money is going into trying to keep the drugs off the street. But then when someone's arrested, they're getting defended by however, and they're getting off and turning around and they're back on the
Yeah.
streets,
Yeah.
handing
My
out
my
candy.
my son, when he was living next to that shelter, the shelter got closed down, thank
Yeah.
goodness, and several years ago, and then he recently sold.
Yeah.
But the smell
Oh,
from the meth they were
yeah.
smoking, he had to keep his windows closed. He couldn't even, it was that bad. And he called the police,
Yeah.
not regularly, but several times. And the police would show up, and this is what they said to him: there's nothing we can do. It's a medical
Yeah.
issue. It's a
Yeah.
medical issue, but yet he can't go on his patio. He can't sell. He tried to sell. People would drive up. They
Yeah. And
wouldn't
that,
get out of their car. Then
yeah,
he got stuck with the anyway, now I'm ranting, but then he got
that's
stuck with the
okay.
empty homes tax because he
Oh,
couldn't sell it. So he ended up having to move back in because who wants to live there?
yeah.
They
Yeah.
A realtor came and showed it. Open up the window blinds. There's people sleeping on the balcony.
Oh my
So it's,
goodness.
it's just that we don't realize. Yeah, we see
The
that, but
other effects. Yeah.
all of the other effects.
Well,
It's
I
just too
owned a
much.
business. I owned a family center in Langley City here. And, I'd have to go clean up feces off, like before people could walk through my front door. And it was not just costly for, it's not just costly for businesses because some of them, it's the broken glass, it's
Yeah.
the whatever, it's so heartbreaking to see like something I was trying to do in the community as a service, I couldn't do because of people who needed services that
Yeah.
they weren't getting.
That's
Like this.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Well, I want everyone to know that if you want to reach out to Brenda Lee, we're going to have ways that you can do that in our show notes. And there's also going to be her website. Now, on her website, she actually does have a form that you can fill out if you are interested in sharing your story or your loved one's story in her upcoming book. And there's no cost to that, is there? No,
Nope.
so there's no cost, so don't be
Just
scared.
gratitude.
Yeah, just gratitude. Yeah. So yeah, so if this moves you, reach out, and you don't never know who you will help other than yourself. There will be others for sure that you will help. So all of that is going to be in the show notes. So Brenda Lee, I just thank you so much for sharing this deep conversation, but so needed. And
Well,
we
thank
need
you.
more parents, teachers, people, community-minded people out there to step up and say, like, this is enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully we can just drip love from here on in and we'll fill a bucket. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you being here and watching, and we will see you on another episode next time. Take care, everybody.